All right, welcome to another edition, episode 5 of the most dramatic Bachelor recap. Before I dive into this episode, let's, as always, go over last week's power rankings. I had Madison at number 1, Victoria F at number 2, Victoria P at number 3, and Hannah Ann rounding things out at number 4. So this episode, we had 3 hours on Monday night, and we're going to get 2 hours. Another episode, we're double dipping on Wednesday night. So it's a busy week in the world of Bachelor Nation. It's exciting. It's a lot of fun. It's what we should want. There's a bunch of content that ABC and The Bachelor wants to bless us with as viewers, and we should embrace that. And that's why we're here. That's exactly what we're doing. So we pick up with all the Alea drama. They're once again wrapping things up in Cleveland, and it's always good to see the 216. Always good to see Cleveland. Beautiful city, beautiful state. And I know The Bachelor, this maybe not even been in the plans. This was filmed way after a lot of these things have happened. But I'm still blamed. The Bachelor, in my mind, this recording is the reason LeBron left. The Indians won't sign Lindor, and the Browns suck. So The Bachelor is my scapegoat. The Bachelor is my Kevin Love, my RG3, my Chris Bosh, if you will, if you get any of those references. So Peter and Alea are talking. Peter ultimately sends her home. She walks out, and she's like, I really just can't open up to you, in this setting. I just really can't open up to you. She is so full of shit. It's oozing out of her pores. If you just pushed on her face, shit would just ooze out. That's just how full of crap she is. I'm glad that she's gone. The whole comeback thing was pretty interesting, but whatever. I'm glad that she's gone. She's outstayed her welcome, at least in my eyes and my heart. So we move on to the ceremony. Rose ceremony. Tammy gets the final rose. That means we have Deandra, Savannah, and Kiera that are sent home at that rose ceremony. And then it is announced that they are going international. They're going to Costa Rica. All the girls, for some reason, were much more excited about going to Costa Rica than Cleveland. I don't know why. Costa Rica is no Cleveland. But I just don't get it. I don't get the appeal. You know what happens in Costa Rica? You go to Costa Rica, like Toby Flenderson, you go ziplining, and you end up in the hospital. A bunch of people like Toby Flenderson are the people from The Office that go to Costa Rica. I would be scared if I was Peter because they're so excited about going to Costa Rica. And what that tells me is Peter has a room full of girls that are much closer to Toby Flenderson than his wife. Might want to think about that. So that's what I have to say about Costa Rica. It's no Cleveland, like I said. So Peter cuts his forehead. Apparently he slipped on a golf cart and had a glass in his hand, smashed his head, has 22 stitches. Really, I think this was just a ploy and a storyline by ABC and Chris Harrison because they wanted to make him seem tougher, more of a man after he got alphaed by Chase Rice last week. So that's kind of my conspiracy on that. He has a one-on-one date with Sydney. And Peter said that Sydney was the best kisser. I really hope Sydney gets super drunk one night and just tells the entire house about this. I hope girls like Hannah Ann and the others that were watching this back, that maybe didn't know that, were just gasping when she said, what? I am a way better kisser than Sydney, and I know it. That's the stuff that I hope is going on. Meanwhile, while they're on their one-on-one date card, the group date card is delivered. Everyone is on the list except for Kelly. That means she gets the next one-on-one date. So we go back to the one-on-one date. Sydney is opening up to Peter about her upbringing, multiracial parents, one black, one white, and just her upbringing being in Alabama in the South. And she talked about how, pretty much from junior high on, her life was really, really tough, the toughest years of her life. She ate lunch by herself every single day in the bathroom. But this is where it gets interesting. You feel bad. That's awful. No one should ever have to go through that because of who their parents are, black, white, whatever. That's ridiculous. That's beyond horrible. But where it gets interesting is people on Twitter, and this seems to be people that went to school with Sydney, were tweeting out pictures there was this one tweet was $200 for yearbooks. I got them. I'm selling them. I'll spill all the tea. Apparently, she may have been telling some fibs. So let's see if this becomes an ongoing storyline. If this gets brought to light that, hey, maybe these things that no one should ever joke about, that no one should ever try to milk, if they're not true, obviously. Like, it's one thing to bring up if it's true. Like, that's something you need to work out with a life partner. You tell them about where you came from, all that stuff, 100%. But if those are lies, those are pretty big lies. Not good. So Peter should be wary, and hopefully if those things are true, you never know what you see on Twitter, but hopefully that comes to light and that can be sorted out. Then Kelsey is having a meltdown. She's like, I like Sydney, but she's just a bitch. And, I'm not very comfortable in these settings, all the attention. But you come on The Bachelor, like you complain about, I just don't like, like I've never had to share a guy before. Like, what did you think The Bachelor was? Like, why did you sign up for this? Even when you said that, I assume when you're told you get it, you can still say yes or no. You jumped through all the obstacles, all the loops. You kept saying yes. So I don't want to hear you complaining and having meltdowns time and time again about sharing a guy when you go on the freaking Bachelor. It's ridiculous. I'm going to have no sympathy for you. Tammy, who is so savage, Tammy is really cracking me up. She's not going to win, but I hope she sticks around because she's hilarious. She's like, she's been crying for literally 2 weeks. I think when my grandpa died, I didn't cry as much as Kelsey has over these last few hours. Incredible. Well done, Tammy. We love you. So group date, it's a photo shoot with a photographer, and while they're doing this, the photographer's like, I need something more dramatic. Give me something here. So Victoria F., that's right, Victoria F. continues to break out of her shell, goes in for the kiss to make it more dramatic. She just goes for it. I'm like, yes, Victoria F. And Kelsey, so slowly but surely losing her marbles. Then Hannah Ann goes in for a kiss. More marbles start to trickle out from Kelsey. And then it's just so savage. Like, Hannah Ann and Peter are kissing for this photo, and like Tammy's like this, and then he has his arm around McKenna, who is obviously she seems a little unstable mentally, emotionally, at least in this setting, at least. So she's really struggling with all that. Just such a savage picture. Kissing Hannah Ann. Tammy's like, what's going on? And he's got his arm around McKenna. That is just hysterical. That's some elite level. That's some GOAT level status there. So what is all this for? They're competing for the cover of Cosmopolitan with Peter. Whoever stood out to the photographers, they're going to pick someone to do a photo shoot here for the cover with Peter. And it's Victoria F. She wins. I'm pumped. I told you guys 2 weeks ago at least, maybe even 3 weeks ago, buy Victoria F stock. It's rising. A few weeks ago, Victoria F., she was Amazon in 94. You could get that stuff cheap. You could buy up a ton of shares, but now, a few weeks later, she's Amazon in 2020. That stock is like $1,400 plus. Victoria F. climbing the chart. She is skyrocketing into a star and one of the favorites, if not the favorite, on this show. So, Kelsey tells Peter that she's falling in love with him, obviously, and Peter loves it. He likes her. I can't stand her. Not good. I just do not like her. And now she asks, now he asks about the breakdown. Some people said that you had a breakdown, whatever. And then she walks back and she's like, so do we want to talk about who said I was emotionally unstable or what? And as soon as she says that, Hannah Ann's just like rolls her eyes. It's just great television, great cinematography, great editing. I mean, the way they splice this all together is just incredible. The group date rose, though, goes to Hannah Ann, well-deserved. Hannah Ann, been kind of flying under the radar, was early on the fast track to being the villain of the show, was the villain of the show there for a little bit, but she's been kind of flying under the radar lately. Hannah Ann doing well. Now the one-on-one with Kelly. Both of them seem kind of uneasy about this. Obviously, they had the greatest initial connection, but she's been more, just to say what it is, she's been sort of getting the benefit of the doubt, throughout this because of that initial connection, because of their meeting. So they're on sort of this like spiritual date, and it's shaping out to be a situation where Peter is in deeper than Kelly. Kelly, I don't know if she's not comfortable, if it's just kind of fizzled off, whatever it is. In terms of effort, Peter's putting in, it's more so one-sided. It's close to one-sided. Peter's putting in significantly more effort than Kelly is at this point. They were able to talk it out. They definitely still have a long way to go, but they definitely are on better terms, and they were able to kind of reconcile sort of an awkward, uneasy date there for a little bit. So Kelly gets a rose, still a ton of work to go there. Kelsey seeks out Peter to chat one-on-one. It ends in a hug and a kiss. Peter pulls this rose out of his ass. I don't know where it was. I just don't know if he has just roses in his back pocket, always readily available, but she gets a rose once again. Then she walks back to the rose. This is dangerous territory here. Like, no one, the way the show goes, no one's really getting a rose at that time. It's kind of downtime. She went to talk to Peter at his kind of separate suite where he was staying, and she walks back with the rose in front of all these girls, and there are just death stares. I mean, death stares across the board. Pretty brave there by Kelsey. I'll give her that. Then Chris Harrison comes in. He said, Peter doesn't want to delay the inevitable. He is sure on his decisions. We're going to skip right to the rose ceremony, no cocktail party. So chaos ensues, featuring arguments and multiple meltdowns as we get to the rose ceremony. Right before Peter starts, Tammy goes, Peter, can I talk to you for a second? Interrupts it. I've never seen this before in all my years of watching The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I have never seen this before. At least I don't remember it. I feel like I would. So I've never seen this before. So Tammy interjects. She talks to Peter. Then McKenna wants a turn. So she walks over to talk. Everyone's pissy. Everyone probably just wants to get this over with, get it going. Like, it's kind of a stressful time. Like, they really don't see this as fair either. Lexi especially is really pissed. Lexi, who eventually goes home. Here's who goes home. Sheehan and Lexi go home. 5 total people on this episode. I don't get why Lexi's so upset. She's like, it might have, swayed the outcome of the results of all this. I'm like, no, sweetheart, you were always going home. Like, you just were. Never had a chance, so whatever. McKenna and Tammy, though, do stay. So that's episode 5. We're going to have another one Wednesday, so there'll be a video and podcast out on Thursday. Before I wrap things up, my power rankings for this week. Number 1, like I said, you should have bought that stock in 94 when it was cheap, but now in 2020, it's really expensive. Victoria F is my new number 1. Madison, my number 2. Hannah Ann at number 3, and Victoria P at number 4. So Victoria F, Madison, Hannah Ann, and Victoria P are my top 4 in this week's Power Rankings. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening, depending whether you're doing the podcast or video, and I will talk to you guys on Thursday.